Hello everybody, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Gonna do a little video for you today called Midland TX Secret Police 2020. And this is a video I made several years ago that had tens of thousands of views. And it was made before the secret police were identified. And if you don't know what the secret police are, I was ambushed and shot inside my home. Somebody under my home shoots me. Burglar alarms going off in the attic. When I return from the hospital, I find pictures of police inside my home. I order the police reports, and I don't get a report showing any police here. So I send their pictures to the mayor and city council and everybody else, the sheriff, and nobody will identify them. I finally offered a $2,000 reward, and I nicknamed them the Secret Police. Called them the first known secret police since Nazi Germany. And because obviously they were caught, covering up this home invasion, premeditated capital attempted murder. It's now looking like some of them police shot me. I think I'm gonna tell that in this story here. And so I'm gonna start here. I've got a YouTube. That's the kind of got the idea. It was a comment off YouTube, and a woman here, Bertina, she says here in 2020 and no justice has been served, and she commented on this video. And so I'll probably name the new one Midland TX Secret Police 2020. And so I've got a write-up, but then I broke it out and backed it up with pictures and evidence, and so we'll just go down, and that's the easiest way to do it. The secret police were secret for 6 years, and I really thought that once we got them identified, then they would be arrested and these crimes would stop, but that is not what happened, and it looks like one of them went on to murder somebody else. This video was made and posted on October 31st, 2016. It's had 25,878 views on YouTube. These police officers were caught on a camera, which they had tried to disable after I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home. It's looking like it was police that tried to kill me in my home. Yeah, there was a burglar trapped. I think the police were working with that burglar, or actually a crime ring, a burglar ring. Recent evidence suggests that it may have been some police that tried to murder me in my home while working with a group of criminals and burglars who've been rigging private homes with hidden access, and this is all over the place. They remained secret for 6 years, but finally identified in 2018, 6 years later, by Empire Private Investigations, who collected the $2,000 reward that I offered. So this meme here is, I posted this and shared this hundreds of times right here. This was the pictures of the secret police. It was like $2,000 reward. I thought about getting a billboard with that picture right there. I had it blown up into a big poster. I've got it in my closet there. And here on this side is from the video. These were the first two secret police that showed up at my house, and that was a Woodward, John Woodward from Martin County Sheriff. Never been explained why a sheriff shows up first at my house after a murder attempt. And then he's followed by the late Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor, who died in line of duty in 2014. At the time, we didn't know that, of course. And then these 9 were caught inside my bedroom, stealing evidence, planting evidence, staging the crime scene. They never planned on getting caught because they had attempted to disable the camera that caught them, and the log files show that. And then this was the text messages from Empire Private Investigations in 2018 when they were all identified. We already knew who Rosa Rodriguez and April Chandler were because their pictures were real clear right here. She was the lifelong friend of the ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the shooting, and here this is April Chandler. So we already knew them too. And here was the ones we didn't know. Lieutenant Tony Dickey, Greg Chatwell was a sergeant, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett was a crime scene investigator. And just think about how many pieces of evidence and how many times he's testified, murder cases, whatever. And this guy's here tampering with evidence in a capital attempted murder, home invasion. Chad Simpson, this is the cop that murdered his wife and killed himself 2 months after Naylor died. Mark Gilliam, Michael Gligg, John Woodward, and once again, a sheriff from a different county shows up first. This is just an absolute mockery of justice. There would be a public outcry, but the public doesn't know because the press is involved in covering up these crimes against the public. And it looks like many city officials are too, because you're going to see here in a minute that this, I was shot with burglar alarms going to my attic, and homeowners all over documented reporting people in the attic. There hadn't been a single news story about that, and so it's bigger than even Midland. So it looks like that it's widespread racketeering, organized crime, and just significant public corruption. And truly, you're not safe in your own home, And I mean, that's the truth right there. And you should be asking your mayor and your sheriff and your chief of police and your governor and anybody else, why isn't this on the news? Why isn't these people arrested? Am I even safe in my home? Is my family safe in my home? What are you doing? I mean, we have you, trusting you into protecting us. Okay, so this was me crawling out. The reason I crawled out is because my phone lines have been cut before they shot me. This is from the original video here, and the reason that I wanted to show you this because I wanted to show you the pictures of the secret police from the original video here, and so that's what I'm playing now. It's on my YouTube channel. Okay, and here is when the first police car showed up. There's the second police car 19 minutes after I crawled out, and there they are, Woodward and Naylor, and it took 6 years to get them identified. I mean, you can't imagine just how the level of corruption, and cover-up. These are the secret police who are caught inside my bedroom covering up the premeditated capital murder attempt on my life. And I'm going to point out some things for you that I think are interesting. See, this camera's taking pictures and they didn't know it. They had tried to disable the camera. But of course, I couldn't get them identified for 6 years, Okay, here's this one here. This April Chandler filling up the booty bag. That's what I say. She just getting her some stuff to take home for herself, and from a home of a crime victim. And I suspect that's where my stolen voice recorder was, in that bag. Okay, and there's April Chandler again. Okay, and this is the important picture right here. I don't know if I can go back to that picture. Okay. Okay, right here. Detective Rosie Rodriguez, is leaned over my nightstand. That's where my stolen cell phone was found planted, and I think she was planting it, and this was April Chandler next to her. And it looks like they left it by the timestamps. It looks like they waited till all the other police left the room, and then she went and planted my phone behind this nightstand. And see, my phone was stolen before I was ambushed and shot by surprise. I was supposed to die, and that stealing that phone was a major part of it. And it looks like, and I believe that Rosie Rodriguez planted that stolen phone. It wasn't there before I shot. It was stolen. That's the reason I had my cordless phone. And there's a longer story to go with that, but I want to show you that picture right there. Caught them planting evidence. Okay, searching my drawers. And that was April Chandler there. So them are the pictures of the secret police. Let's get back on the story. In 2019, it was found out there was a police report for this night all along that had been illegally withheld after being subpoenaed in 2013. This report showed that 6 of the 11 secret police that had been seen on camera had been omitted, and 2 of them are now dead. It's illegal to falsify a police report, but they withheld it. That's a crime. They falsified it. They omitted names. If they omit one name, it's like, oh, we just forgot, because we're stupid, But they're not stupid. They didn't forget, and it wasn't one name, it was 6 names, right? But nobody's been arrested for that. Nobody's been fired, and it's just business as usual, and they're breaking in homes. I recorded 2 calls for burglaries here on my scanner yesterday that I suspected might have been in rigged homes. Like I said, it's going on all over the place. And so here, identified by the private investigator in 2018, these are the ones in this first column were caught on camera. 11 of them. Rosie Rodriguez, I named them all a minute ago. Of course, 2 of them are dead. These 6 at the bottom, they mysteriously didn't have their names on the police report, because in 2019, I got the report showing who was in my house. And it had been withheld for 7 years. That's the level of corruption going on. And don't think they've only done this to me. They probably do it every single day to lots of other innocent crime victims. And so here's the list for who was on the police report. So all of a sudden we have 4 police officers that were not caught on camera that were listed on the police report. So I didn't even know about them until 2019, 7 years after this premeditated home invasion, capital attempted murder. Matt Davis, Dylan Hale, Joe Ramirez, Kitty Angel. Important thing about that report is when I look at the timestamps on the report versus my security cameras outside, then what I could tell was that there was 5 police officers and Davis, Dickey, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale that were at or inside my home, and they were not seen arriving on the cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor show up. We got pictures of these two, and just 2 minutes later, Dickey's inside my home, and he didn't show up. Okay, he still wasn't seen on the camera, and the reason is because they come in from the now removed trap door the ex-wife had told me about, and I had been shot from. That makes them police the top suspects for the would-be killers that were under my home, sneaked under my home, and shot me by surprise. Maybe it was because there was a burglar in my bathroom that was trapped, and I didn't know it, and I had been reporting burglaries for 14 months. And maybe the reason they hadn't arrested no burglars is because they're working with this crime ring, with this human trafficking burglar ring, rigging the private homes and stealing services from these homeowners, and along with the press to help cover it up, and maybe the mayor, the city council. You should be calling your city leaders, your state leaders, and asking them how come this ain't front page news, how come nobody's been arrested. This was the second entry. It was supposed to be the only known entry because they hid the police report and they had tried to disable the camera. So this is who was on the only known entry, or what was supposed to be, and that was on February 1st, 3 days later. And what I figure is that as they poured concrete and covered up the trap door where they shot me from in this 3 days. And Matt Davis had my keys, so I'm suspecting Matt Davis probably knows something about that. But the only one that is on seen here on the first entry and then here on the second entry was Rosie Rodriguez. And interested, she met me at the 7-Eleven after I crawled out and drove up there to get help and climbed in my front seat of my truck, and then she said on the police report that she wasn't there. April Chandler lied and said she climbed in my truck, but one of them's a blonde and the other one's a Hispanic, and I know who climbed into my truck at 7-Eleven. They're both liars, and this is a capital attempted murder. And it's just a mockery of justice is what it is. And don't think I'm the only crime victim. You can bet they're doing this over and over and over again because they have nobody to stop them. There's nobody to hold them accountable. The press isn't going to hold them accountable. The public is kept ignorant because they don't know. It also showed that 5 police officers, Davis, Dickey, Chadwell, Angel, and Hale, were at or in my home, and they were not seen arriving on the front security cameras that saw Woodward and Naylor arriving minutes earlier. This told us they were under my home and entered from a now removed trap door. Okay, this is the police report. I parsed it out, so I've only got, these, certain officers during this time span. But what I'm showing you, because it's time stamped down to the second, that I'm seeing crawling out at 10:42. 19 minutes later, Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor arrives. Okay, we see them. And so, okay, so we're saying Woodward and Naylor arriving. They're right there. Okay, so 2 minutes later, right here, we got Tony Dickey here, change location. Matt Davis is on scene at my house, but he ain't seen on the camera. Dickey ain't seen on the camera. And then at 23:04, okay, here we go. Ramirez, okay, is called for a backer, okay. And then here we go. Dickey, Lieutenant Dickey with the Midland Police Department at 11:05 says no one's in the house. And, there's baby traps, which there ain't because there's none in the evidence logs. It was a lie by Tony Dickey, Lieutenant Tony Dickey. But keep in mind, at 23:05, he's inside my home. And at 23:01, we see Woodward and Naylor arriving, but we don't see Dickey arriving. Now, how can Dickey get inside my home if he wasn't seen arriving? And the easy answer is he come in the trap door where I was shot from. Dickey may be the would-be killer that tried to murder me in my home. If not, it's probably one of these other ones. Rodriguez, Chandler, Davis, Dickey, Woodward, Naylor. We don't know. All we know is we got a group of police conspired together in a capital crime. Also, Greg Chatwell, Kenny Angel, Dylan Hale on the timestamps because the front cameras was disabled at 11:22. So before the camera was disabled, we had 5 police officers at or in my home that were not seen arriving. And once again, I'm going to say it over and over and over again. Don't think that doesn't go on every single day. They have nobody to stop them. This is absolute lawlessness. You know, these are criminals in costumes and cop costumes is what they are. They're liars and they might be killers. And you know, it's looking like that maybe they killed the guy that lived here before me, and maybe for the same reason, because he saved up his, you know, he worked all his life, saved his money, and bought a home that was rigged and reported it to corrupt law enforcement, so they killed him. You know, I mean, that's my experience, what it looks like. At the emergency room, a few minutes after I survived this home invasion and murder attempt, I told MPD Detective Rosie Rodriguez, I have proof. Just go look. Proof is at my house. This proof was a voice recorder that had recorded the burglar alarms going off before I was shot. MPD Officer April Chandler states on a report that she found my voice recorder along with 222 guns were checked into evidence. The 222 guns were checked in by Matt Davis, Sergeant Matt Davis, but the voice recorder was missing. Matt Davis, once again, he was the first one at my house. If you remember, after Woodward and Naylor, Davis was. And then he mysteriously quits the police department just right there after the protective order here in 2013. Maybe Matt Davis is the shooter. You know, we don't know. But this is from the nurse's logs. You know, thank God that nurse documented me telling them, police, I have proof. Go look. There's proof. And here's Officer Chandler in her narrative saying, I found it, checked it into evidence, but she lied. And because we know that, because Matt Davis checked in the 222 guns she also found, but the voice recorder wasn't checked in. I made a public outcry about that, posted videos, made Facebook posts, and then a few years later, we don't even know, sometime after 22 months later, they come in and modified the evidence logs and added in, hand wrote in voice recorder. They scribbled out one piece of evidence and hand wrote in voice recorder because I made a point of that stolen voice recorder, the proof of this capital attempted murder. And what had happened was I told them proof was at my house, and they went to sneaking in my house, tried to disable the camera to steal the proof I told them about to cover up this home invasion, premeditated capital attempted murder. That's what happened. I made a public outcry after I saw the police stole evidence I told them about to cover up this capital attempted murder. Sometime after records were subpoenaed 22 months later, the voice recorder and spent shotgun shells were checked into evidence. This is the I didn't get this modified evidence log until 2019, and it wasn't that way in 2013. And see, they scribbled out Hull and they wrote in shotgun shells, voice recorder, because I was making a point that no voice recorder, the stolen voice recorder proved it. It was proof that this was a home invasion murder attempt. And then also the shotgun shells, okay, because I noticed there was no empty shotgun shell. If there was an empty shotgun shell, it would have been inside the chamber of my shotgun that Marty Barrett said he picked up. Marty Barrett checked in the 4 live shells, and he checked in my shotgun, but he didn't check in any empty shotgun shell. Why? Because I didn't shoot myself. Somebody under my home shot me. That's why. And so they made a mistake is what they did, and so I had picked up that on the evidence log there was no empty shotgun shell, proving I wasn't shot with myself. So they scribbled out one piece of evidence and hand wrote in shotgun shells. And look who checked in the shotgun shells here. Matt Davis. Wasn't even Marty Barrett. Marty Barrett's the one picked up my gun from my house. That's where the empty shotgun shell would have been. Okay. And so I just want to show you that proof. There is no doubt about this. I also noticed there was no used shotgun shell, which would have been found inside my shotgun had I been shot myself with my gun, as they were falsely claiming to cover up this violent crime. And here is Marty Barrett's narrative, this crime scene investigator. Once again, keep in mind, a crime scene investigator touches evidence for multiple murders, testifies. He sends people to, his testimony puts people on death row, right? And, we got a crime scene investigator tampering with evidence to cover up a home invasion murder attempt of a citizen that was reporting crime. And it looks like it was police that tried to murder him in his home because he was reporting crime. And, that's messed up. But here we go. I collected evidence from the scene that included shotguns. So we know that Tony Barrett picked up my gun from my house, okay? And if I had been shot with my gun, as they falsely claimed, then that empty shotgun shell would have been in the gun, okay? Here he checks in 4 live Remington 12-gauge shotgun shells from my gun, okay? And, that's where they came from, but there was no empty shell. That's the point I was making. And so I made a public outcry about that, made a point saying, here's proof the police are involved in the capital attempted murder, and they scribbled out one piece of evidence, hand wrote it in, and it was Matt Davis, wasn't even Marty Barrett. Okay. On October 2014, Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor was said to have died in line of duty without being told that he was the second secret police, without the public being told he was the second secret police seen at my home. I make a point of that because, what if he was going to snitch on the other secret police, and snitching on secret police in capital, when they're involved in capital crimes, multiple capital murders, might get you killed, so maybe a group of police killed Naylor and blamed it on Higgins, and this was news report. Gun that killed Naylor was reported stolen. That's mighty convenient, ain't it? All of a sudden, Naylor, second person to arrive at my house, the public's never told that, ends up dead. Ain't that interesting? In December 2014, Midland K-9 police officer Chad Simpson was alleged to have murdered his wife and the mother of his children before killing himself. Chad had been seen inside my bedroom wearing a Midland K-9 police jacket, but his name wasn't on the police report. This fact was also hidden from the public by the press and the police. The press and the police are working together to con the public in the organized crime. That's all there is to it. This is a news report. I think it's News Vest 9. Police officer shoots wife, self, and apparent murder-suicide. Apparent, right? Because once again, what if Chad here, a lot of people said he was a good guy. He was going to snitch on them other secret police, and they don't want to be snitched on because it's a capital crime. And so here, she's just the innocent victim. They just killed both of them, call it a murder-suicide, case over, done deal. It's over, and all of a sudden, one of the secret police is dead, and the public's never told that he was a secret police. The private investigator found a witness that said Chad told him he was inside my home. Maybe law enforcement wants to talk to this witness, right? Find out what he knows that Chad told him. Maybe Chad told him some other stuff too, right? Maybe about underground homes and forced prostitution, murder of a little girl in 2010, huh? Maybe so. Let that sink in. After being caught on camera in a capital attempted murder, but not identified, one of those secret police goes on to murder somebody else. Many people believe that Sandra Simpson would be alive, and two babies would not be orphans if they had been identified and arrested earlier. And so that what a lot of people don't know is 2 days before this alleged murder-suicide where the secret police murdered his wife, I posted on my Facebook a story on December 13, 2014 called Rape and Murder. That was the story of the young girl that my friend told me about being murdered at the oil show party in 2010 because she refused to prostitute. I believe it happened in the underground homes here that Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano said Gary Painter used to hang out in. That's where I think them oil show parties were held. I think that's where the young girl. In 2013, the remains of a young girl were found outside of Midland. Okay, along with this post, this is from my Facebook. You can go on my timeline and look at this post at December 13, 2014, and there's the secret police picture of the secret police wearing a Midland K-9 police jacket. Well, all these years later, we know that's Chad Simpson. Well, 2 days after I posted this rape and murder story to my Facebook, Chad goes and murders Sandra Simpson, kills himself, allegedly, okay? And some people have asked, what if Sandra saw this story. We're all from Hobbs. She's from Hobbs, you know. And what if somebody from Hobbs said, go look what Buddy posted. So she goes, looks and goes, oh, that's my husband in that house. And she confronts him. What do you know about this little girl being raped and murdered at an underground party? And he, his life's ruined. So he decides he'd kill her and then he'd kill himself. You know, there's another possible scenario. But what the public don't know and the press hid from you is that 2 days before Chad Simpson kills his wife, I posted this story on Facebook. Ain't that interesting? 2 days before. The young previous owner of my home, Mike Lawson, died the week before the 2008 oil show started, with conflicting reports of where he died at. That was Mike Lawson when I moved here. Here's the key to that. The week before the 2008 oil show started. Ain't that convenient? Especially when it's believed there's an underground facility, a home in the backyard that's used for oil show prostitution parties. Ain't that? And then, the Odessa American goes and posts a death notice for him saying he died in Fort Worth. That was on October 14th, 2008. Okay, 4 days later, the Odessa American changes their death notice and changes the location of death to say at his residence. Okay, so here he died in Fort Worth, but 4 days later they changed it to say he died at his residence. Both of these was posted. It confused me at first because I read one, what I thought this, and then I saw this one, and I finally figured out there's two of them. And they were posted for like 12 years. Within just the last couple months, the Odessa American deleted this one. Has law enforcement ever asked them, why did you do that? It didn't automatically go, I think I'm just going to change the location of death. Somebody had to go change that from Fort Worth to his residence. A neighbor told me twice Mike Lawson died in my house, but his death certificate says he died in Fort Worth. This right here is a huge clue. I suspect Mike Lawson was murdered here, taken to Fort Worth, so this home could be sold to the next sucker, and that would be me. I was moving in from out of town and didn't know anything. Another guy asked me, I knew the names of the 4 people who had been murdered, died in my home. These secret police need to be investigated for those murders too. Keep that in mind. 4 murders. Aaron Packelhofer was his name. He's a local Mason, and so maybe some Masons know something about these 4 murders in this home. Maybe they know something about these underground homes and prostitution parties. But here it is. I took a print screen. If I can ask, there were 4 people who were murdered, died in your house. What are their names? Notice he put a question mark after that. And, and I've had what I call criminals go, oh, well, he wasn't stating 4 people. He was asking a question. Word 4 people. And I said, no, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. He didn't say 5, 6, 8, 32. He said 4. There were 4 people murdered. He was wanting to know their names. He was very clear. That was a punctuation error right there. 4 people been murdered, died in my house. Who were they? I think Mike Lawson was one of them, right? And even though his death certificate's in Fort Worth, according to the neighbor and the Odessa American's second death notice. And the ex-wife told me with 100% sincerity, the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. What if these secret police were working with these doctors? I wonder how many accidental deaths they were connected with. And if anything, I don't have this recorded, because you don't record every conversation, but it should be clear that my word is rock solid. I'm the guy that saved up disability money and paid to have secret police identified, right? My word is rock solid. I'm the guy that said, heard people in my attic, and I was reporting it before I had, a dozen other homeowners documented reporting people in the attic. I'm the guy that said, here they shot me from under my home here, before Joe Lozano and a whole bunch of other people said their underground facility and tunnels here. My word's rock solid. So when I tell you the ex-wife told me the secret is a group of doctors are killing people for profit, then you need to believe me. And I believed her. I believed her. And then just a couple months later, I'm ambushed and shot. My phone line's cut, and she was the primary beneficiary. She was going to get a paid-for and very special home, plus around $650,000, and a lot of that was on an accidental death policy. And so what this is I testified in court under oath that she told me that. I also told the Texas Rangers. I told the FBI. I told Homeland Security. That matters to you and your family. She didn't say the group of doctors are trying to kill Buddy for profit. She said they're killing people for profit. People, man, woman, and child for profit. Okay, I think they're working with these secret police. If my murder had been ruled an accident by MPD Detective Rosie Rodriguez, which would have obviously happened, then her lifelong friend, my ex-wife, would get a paid-for and very special home, along with an additional $500,000 in accidental death insurance money. She had taken my life insurance books from my home without my knowledge a few weeks earlier. I was talking to my sister-in-law, Mitzi Webb, on the phone, and she says, yeah, I saw them. You know, that's actually wrote up there. And so Mitzi can, have law enforcement talk to her, ask her where she's seen it, and all the specifics about Mitzi Webb, my sister-in-law, seeing my life insurance books. It confirms that the ex-wife took my life insurance books from my home just a few weeks before I'm ambushed and shot, and she's the primary beneficiary, right? I had filed divorce 5 days before I was ambushed and shot, but it wasn't final, so she was going to get everything, okay? These books showed that I had an accidental death policy and a supplemental accidental death policy that added 2 times annual base pay. There's about $200,000, and then another $250,000. So altogether, there was an extra $500,000 if her lifelong friend Rosie Rodriguez rules my murder an accident. I didn't find out until court that Detective Rosie Rodriguez and my ex-wife went to grade school and junior high together. They were lifelong friends, and that I found that out 22 months later or whatever. And Rosie Rodriguez was the detective I was showing you that met me at the 7-Eleven. She's the one that planted that stolen phone behind my nightstand, And so this was the transcript from court testimony when we found out Rosie Rodriguez and the ex-wife were lifelong friends, and there's an extra $500,000, okay? And here, I said this home with its hidden underground access, $1 million underground in the backyard, was the big prize. I suspect this was where the secret police were at before they shot me. Okay, you can go to Google Maps, maps.google.com, put in my address, 3802 Fair Circle, and just switch between the map screen and the satellite screen. Here's the map screen. Here's the satellite screen. This is my home where I was ambushed and shot, and it's also where the last homeowner's murdered too. Actually, 4 people murdered there, right? Or murdered, died, according to Aaron Peckerhofer. Okay, so real clear, you can see this underground facility, or this facility in the backyard. You look at the satellite screen, you can't see it from above ground. That's what told me that's below ground. And I've had multiple people documented telling me there's underground homes here. That's where I believe the oil show parties were going on. That's where I believe that little girl was murdered at in 2010. And I believe that's probably a money maker, maybe illegal casino, brothel, and the source. I think there's probably a lot of people there that don't want the public to find out they were there. And as I said before, when you have $1 million underground homes that are hosting parties for international oil shows with very wealthy, important people there, then a lot of people are going to know about it. And I think that's where all this big secrecy and the attack of the crime victim and all that comes from. And so then I just put some proof facts that I got back up. A woman has recorded saying there was 4 3-bedroom underground homes here. That's a video called $1 Million Underground Homes. Rhonda Denman Roger, that print screen, told me that one of the underground homes is a half block away. I wonder if that ain't on Westmont Court. And Layla O'Brien said she worked, I have that misspelled, on this safe house project. That's what it was called, which cost $7.35 million and was finished in 1987. She told me she felt like the Bushes were involved. This is the hometown of the Bushes, and in the 80s, George Bush was the vice president, and she said it was the Safe House Project, and I'm sure everybody wants to call everybody a liar, all 100 different witnesses all saying the same thing, they come back, oh, there's a lie, that ain't no lie. I mean, she didn't make that up, they called it the Safe House Project. It should be easy to find, at $7.35 million. That verifies what this woman said, that they cost over $1 million a piece. parties. You know, there's having pedophile parties there. And then we have Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano told me on a secret recorded phone call that that was the hideout for Sheriff Painter. I mean, this is lawlessness. You should be calling your mayor, your city council, and asking them some questions, your governor and your chief of police and your sheriff. And you know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't look like you're safe in your home. And, you know, this organized crime. Talk to you later.